行くよ、ニャオハ。できた、ニャオハ、できたよ。
Hey everyone, it's Mark! This is my recap for Pokémon Horizons Episode 2, The Pendant of Beginnings, Part 2. This was the 1234th episode of the Pokemon anime, and that in itself is pretty cool. 1, 2, 3, 4 all in a row. Okay, anyways, before I dive into this, I just wanted to say thank you so much for helping me get to 9,000 subscribers. It would mean a lot to me if you would like this video and hit subscribe so we can get to 10,000. Alright, let's talk about this episode. So we started off with Liko narrating the major events from the first episode, getting us caught up to where we are now, and that would be Liko and Sprigatito being suspended in midair thanks to whatever burst of energy just came from her pendant. Inside this ball of light, Liko comes face to face with whatever this is. It appears to be a new legendary Pokemon, but so far we know next to nothing about it. Even the official Pokemon Twitter account is referencing this new discovery, but not confirming any details about it just yet. It looks like some kind of baby version of Terapagos, but we barely know anything about that Pokemon either. It won't even be officially released until the second Scarlet and Violet DLC, which won't be for over 6 months. Anyways, this mysterious Pokemon transforms back into Liko's pendant, and she just about catches it along with Sprigatito as they fall to their doom. Luckily for them, Freed is able to save the day as he catches the two of them just before they hit the ground. He tells them not to be so reckless, but he does appreciate their spirit. Liko takes a moment to consider just how much crazy stuff has been happening to her, and that maybe she's just weird now. This is her life. Freed calls off his battle with a Metheo, retreating now that he is Liko and the pendant. Now obviously Freed was the hero in the situation, but it did seem a little weird to me that Liko was more trusting of him since Freed is essentially kidnapping them right now, just heroically kidnapping, I guess you could say. Metheo tells his associates that they're going to chase after Freed and Liko, and then I have no clue what happens next. They press something on their watches, and now some real anime shenanigans are happening. They transform out of their suits and into what I'm guessing are their standard explorers outfits. They each hop on a flying steel-type Pokemon and set off after Freed. Meanwhile, Liko is starting to get back to normal, and by that I mean super anxious and freaked out. Now she's starting to question this Freed guy. That's more like it. But before she can get any of her questions answered, they approach this giant airship. Freed calls this thing the Brave Asagi, and the only thing I could find about Asagi was that Olivine City is named Asagi City in Japanese, so I don't know what's going on there. Regardless, they deploy this wing deck, which is just a Pokemon battlefield, and Freed flies through some kind of force field. They're quickly joined by Murdoch and Molly, and Liko starts questioning who these people are, which sets Molly and Murdoch off because this means that Freed didn't explain anything to Liko. Some of the Pokemon that live aboard the airship come out to greet them, and upon seeing so many Pokemon at ease, Liko starts to believe that maybe these are the good guys. Before Freed can tell anyone what's happening, he leaves to go fly the airship, which is going to be an issue because they're headed right for a storm, and yeah, this doesn't look too good. Orla is doing her best to power the ship down to the engine room, and Freed sends Charizard to go help her. Meanwhile, the explorers are hot on their trail, not deterred by the incoming storm, which is more than likely what caused this blackout which is happening on the ship. Talk about bad timing. Liko is still trying to figure out anything about what's going on, but she's left in the dark literally and figuratively, as apparently the Rising Voltacklers are able to recognize the people chasing them as the explorers, which means nothing to me and you, but apparently is a very noteworthy name to Molly and Murdoch. Freed finally enters the wheelhouse of the ship where his partner Pokemon, Captain Pikachu, has been keeping watch. Freed decides to go directly into the thunderclouds instead of just going around them like any normal human being, but apparently this is going to help them shake the explorers off their tail. They ask Orla to give them some more heat, and it's cute watching their Fuecoco try its best to keep up with its idol, Charizard. The tension starts to ramp up as they enter the storm clouds. We get a brief Ludlow sighting, but he doesn't really do anything of note. Meanwhile, the explorers have reached the wing deck and are trying to break through that force field that Freed was able to fly through without issue earlier. Molly ends up leaving Liko on her own so that she can try to retract the wing deck, and Freed tells Murdoch to take over steering the airship as he and Captain Pikachu head out. They pick up Charizard along the way, but time's already up. The explorers have boarded the airship. And it's at this point that Liko starts to have a mini existential crisis, questioning everything that's been happening to her and wondering if she's some kind of heroine. Oh, little does she know. The explorers start to walk into the ship while Liko worries about the Pokemon inside and starts to feel guilty that all of this is happening because of her pendant. The explorers have finally reached the doorway, but they don't just run in and grab Liko like any smart villains would do. Instead, they just stand there and start up a conversation with her. What is taking Freed so long to get here? Whatever. Liko doesn't trust the explorers, and neither does Sprigatito, but it's easily captured by Konya, one of Metheo's associates. Liko says she'll give them the pendant, just don't hurt Sprigatito. Amethio explains that he doesn't just want the pendant anymore, he thinks Liko is tied to it in some way and wants her to come with them as well. She agrees and starts to just walk out with them. Where is Freed? Oh, this isn't looking very good, and Liko is trying to convince herself that she's doing the right thing, but just as they get back out to the wing deck, finally Freed comes flying in. Why is he even so far away from the airship in the first place? Regardless, he and Captain Pikachu are here to save the day, and Amethio says he'll handle this himself, while Freed promises to protect Liko and Sprigatito. He confronts Amethio, asking him about the explorers, who are apparently notorious even though we don't know anything about them just yet. Freed introduces himself as the leader of the Rising Volt Tacklers, and it's decided that he and Amethio will battle it out once again. Freed is going to be using Pikachu this time, which Amethio just kind of laughs at. Well, actually, I don't know if this guy is even capable of laughter. Ceruledge is out once again, and these small glimpses of battles we've gotten in these first two episodes give me a lot of optimism for the future of Pokemon battles in this series. They look great so far, and hopefully we'll get some kind of battle-focused episodes in the near future. With that said, let's get to the critical point of this matchup, with Pikachu commanding a ton of electricity from the thunderstorm and powering himself up, which leads to Freed calling for their signature Volt Tackle. So far, Captain Pikachu is known to have Thunder Punch, Double Team, and Volt Tackle, so they're doing a good job differentiating it from Ash's Pikachu. I was really impressed with Amethio's Ceruledge here. It was able to keep Pikachu at bay and get off a Psycho Cut, but some of it deflected off towards the rest of the ship. Seeing this, Liko doesn't want any more damage to be done and calls for the battle to be over with, and she's about to give herself up to the explorers, but then Sprigatito makes its feelings known, jumping out of Liko's arms in a very dramatic moment and basically starts yelling at its trainer, at least the best a little grass cat Pokemon can yell at anyone. This does get through to Liko. She realizes that she's been lying to herself and that she should not just give in to what the explorers want. She actually directly stands up to Amethio at this point and commands Sprigatito to use Leaf Edge, and Sprigatito, oh my god, what is happening? This was unlike any Leaf Edge I've ever seen, and luckily for Amethio, Ceruledge steps in to block the attack as leaves fill the sky. Liko is fired up that she and Sprigatito pulled off such a powerful move. Freed is shook at what he's seeing, and the power of this attack totally destroys the force field surrounding the wing deck. Liko nearly gets blown away by this, but luckily Freed is able to stop her. However, he's unable to catch Sprigatito. You know who is able to catch Sprigatito though? Uh-oh, it's Amethio's Corviknight. And now that he has Liko's partner in his possession, Amethio orders a retreat, and the explorers fly away, leaving Liko powerless, and this is how the episode comes to a very dramatic end. Well, it's safe to say that Pokemon Horizons is off to an exciting start, and that leaves me with so much to discuss about this episode. I may as well just go in chronological order, then get to my episode rating. First of all, that unknown turtle Pokemon that is either inside Liko's pendant or is literally the pendant itself, this 100% reminds me of how Ash met a mysterious Pokemon on the first day of his journey, one that wasn't even announced yet to anyone. Similarly, we know next to nothing about this turtle Pokemon, and I'm guessing we won't know about it for certain until the Indigo Disc portion of the Scarlet and Violet DLC comes out, which again, probably isn't going to be for at least 6 months. This is actually pretty cool when you think about it. The anime gets first dibs on telling the story of this mysterious Pokemon. That's not something we get to see very often at all. Moving past that for now, Liko's introduction to the Rising Volt Tacklers was, well, a pretty shaky start. The episode intentionally kept Liko in the dark about what was going on, and therefore kept us, the viewers, in the dark as well. I probably would have liked this episode better had they just explained some things more, but I think this is a good decision overall to take a slow approach to the storytelling. I mean, we're coming off a series where fast-paced storytelling was oftentimes the norm, so I am all in favor of a slower build towards whatever the story is leading to, even if it means this episode was a little confusing. And honestly, the thing that confused me the most was this airship. This might just be totally a me thing, so bear with me for a sec, but I'm gonna have a hard time getting used to this mechanical marvel. Parts of it are incredibly futuristic, like it's really cool, then other parts just make me scratch my head, like wait, it's powered by some kind of steam engine and moves like a literal ship, not like some futuristic jet? I mean, again, this may just be a me thing here, but this airship reminds me more of the blimp from the Orange Island season of the anime than it does, I don't know, the crazy jet that Brock just magically was able to drive during the Arceus Chronicles. And like I said in my recap, I couldn't believe that the explorers were able to break out of the airship and ever so casually abduct Liko. How did it take so long for someone to confront them? This airship doesn't even look that big. Thankfully, once a confrontation did happen, it was really cool. I already mentioned how I was a fan of the battle action, and seeing Liko and Sprigatito pull off a Leaf Edge that looked more like a Z move than a regular move was amazing to see. We haven't seen the full extent of Freed and Amethio's power just yet, but they both seem like capable trainers. Another thing that happened in this episode was the first of Professor Freed's seminars, which is basically a bonus segment where he and Captain Pikachu give a quiz question to the viewers. These segments are never in the English dub, and I probably won't mention them in any of my other reviews, but I did just want to point out the fact that they exist, and just how strong is Captain Pikachu's tail. At the conclusion of episode 2, they played the opening for the first time, likely because of how weird this premiere was formatted with it being a 1-hour special. I thought I was going to spend a ton of time breaking down this new opening, but I actually don't have a lot to say. As far as the song itself, it's fine. I like it. It's not one of the best openings of all time, but it's good. The visuals don't really have that much to them. It's mainly just the main cast of heroes hanging out together. We do see that Ludlow is more prominently featured with Quaxley than any other trainer throughout this opening, and that leads me to believe that it is in fact Ludlow underneath that Nito thing costume. That just seems like exactly the type of joke that the anime would make. This stoic old man who doesn't say much is actually this hyper-energetic influencer who makes videos under a pseudonym while wearing a ridiculous costume. I love it. With all of that said, let's get to my rating. I initially wanted to give this episode a 7 because of the flaws I pointed out earlier, but after thinking it over, I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10 rating. While this episode wasn't perfect, it does continue to build on what we saw in the first episode really well. And after all, these first 2 episodes were designed to be played together, so it only makes sense that they're connected so much. As an entire 1-hour special, I'd give the premiere of Pokémon Horizons something like a 9 out of 10, and as one last thought about this premiere, I can't wait until Liko reconnects with Anne and her roommate asked her if she did anything exciting over break. I think Liko is going to have quite the story to tell. Okay, last order of business is to talk about what's up next, beginning with the preview for the next episode. From here on out, Pokémon Horizons is most likely going to be posting one new episode every Friday, and episode 3 is coming up in just a few days, and it's going to be all about Liko rescuing Sprigatito. I don't know if I have much to speculate about. I mean, Liko is probably going to rescue Sprigatito, but I'll be curious to see what explanations we get about Liko's pendant, the Rising Volt Tacklers, as well as the Explorers. A couple of quick things to mention before I sign off. I am planning on doing a Pokémon Horizons bingo game just like I did for Pokémon Journeys. I'm just still deciding on what to put in the bingo card. If you want to help suggest things that should fill up the tiles of the bingo card, come on over and join my Discord server, where we discuss the episodes, help people figure out where to watch Pokémon Horizons, as well as older episodes of the anime, and we just have a lot of fun discussing all kinds of things, even ones totally unrelated to the Pokémon anime as well. It's really just a place to come hang out with me and my friends. And even though a new series has begun, I am still working on finishing 2 major videos for my channel. I have probably already spent over 12 hours working on this video, ranking every single episode of Pokémon Journeys, and I want to make sure this is one of, if not my best video ever before I finally release it. Likewise, my series review of Pokémon Journeys is also on the way. I really want this video to be special, so I don't want to rush them. YouTube is still just a hobby for me, so I haven't had the time to finish these videos just yet. But I'd rather wait a few weeks and lose on some views if it means that I can properly put my heart and soul into making what will hopefully be 2 of my best videos of all time. With all of that said, thank you all so much for your patience with my videos, and thank you for watching this one. Be sure to click the like button if you haven't already. And once again, thanks for 9,000 subscribers. This is a huge milestone, and believe me, there are big plans for the future of this channel, so click subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get to 10,000 subscribers together. I'll see you guys next time.